Imagine gliding across choppy waters with absolute confidence, trusting that your boat, no matter what catastrophe befalls it, will never go under. Sounds like a fish tale, right? Except it's real. Welcome to the history of Boston Whaler, a story you need to know. The brand famed for its foam-filled, unsinkable hulls, and that unforgettable stunt where they literally sawed a boat in half to prove a point. There's more to the story than flashy demos and marketing hype. We'll take you through the triumphs and controversies that shaped this iconic boatmaker. Stick around, because you're about to discover how an audacious backyard experiment became a global sensation. But hold on, because the tale of Boston Whaler isn't all smooth sailing. Although we often picture the brand's success as inevitable, there were moments when skepticism nearly sank it. Critics scoffed at Dick Fisher's foam and fiberglass concept, calling it a novelty rather than an innovation. And even after the sword-in-half demonstration grabbed headlines, the brand had to survive corporate shakeups, changing consumer tastes, and the fierce loyalty and, at times, fierce criticism of devoted boaters. In other words, the story of Boston Whaler is more than just a grand claim of unsinkability. It's a lesson in perseverance, evolution, and a fair share of controversy. In this video, you'll learn about the brand's daring beginnings, its manufacturing magic, the classic models that made waves, and the small but critical detail many owners overlook, no matter how much foam you pack into a hull. Boston Whaler traces its roots back to the late 1950s, when Richard Dick Fisher teamed up with naval architect C. Raymond Hunt. Fisher was an entrepreneur who dabbled in everything from sailboats to mechanical gadgets, while Hunt brought a wealth of boat design expertise. Their collaboration started in Fisher's backyard, with small fiberglass prototypes injected with polyurethane foam. In a world used to heavier, more conventional boat designs, the idea that you could take a lightweight hull, fill it with foam, and achieve remarkable buoyancy felt radical. But once they tossed a prototype into a swimming pool to test it, the impossibility became reality. No matter how they tried, they couldn't make the hull sink. In 1958, Boston Whaler unveiled a 13-foot model, simply known as the 13, the first of its kind to sport that revolutionary sandwich of foam and fiberglass. It quickly gained popularity with fishermen, duck hunters, and outdoorsy families, all of whom appreciated the boat's stability as the near certainty that it wouldn't capsize like a typical skiff. The name Boston Whaler came about because of the company's Massachusetts roots and the traditional concept of a whaling boat. Tough and seaworthy. Soon people from up and down the East Coast were clamoring for a whaler of their own, and the brand's early success set the stage for a dramatic marketing display that still defines its legend. If you're enjoying this behind-the-scenes look at one of boating's biggest legends, don't forget to like this video and drop a comment below. And if you're new here or haven't hit subscribe yet, now's the time. We've got plenty more deep dives into marine icons coming your way. Let's keep going. No discussion of Boston Whaler can leave out the infamous moment when Dick Fisher, in a fit of marketing brilliance, sliced one of his boats completely in half. To everyone's astonishment, each segment stayed afloat as if nothing had happened. Photographs of a boat literally sawed down the middle yet still buoyant popped up in magazine ads, boat shows, and TV segments. Prospective buyers watched, jaws on the floor, as Fisher hopped into one half of the hull and took it for a spin. That single outrageous act shot Boston Whaler into the public consciousness. Sure, you might never actually saw your boat in half, but the demonstration symbolized a promise. If something catastrophic happened, you could still count on getting home safely. Although other manufacturers attempted to replicate the stunt, many ended up with soggy, partially submerged hulls, proving that Boston Whaler's construction process wasn't easily copied. Critics who once called the foam idea a gimmick found themselves eating crow. But while the brand's unsinkable reputation soared, owners soon learned that unsubmersible doesn't necessarily mean maintenance-free. In the annals of boating, there's a classic mistake guaranteed to make you cringe: forgetting to put in the drain plug. You'd assume that if you were lucky enough to own an unsinkable whaler, such a misstep wouldn't matter, but reality begs to differ. Whaler hulls are packed with foam, making them extremely buoyant, yet they're not immune to flooding if you leave an open hole in the transom. Water can slosh into the bilge, saturate the foam over time, and eventually compromise the hull's performance. The boat might not sink to the bottom, but it can ride dangerously low, making for a soggy and potentially hazardous outing. This user error fiasco highlights a paradox. The unsinkable hype can lull some owners into skipping common sense checks. I'm in a whaler, what could go wrong? Well, everything, if you treat your boat like it's invincible. While the brand's design gives you extra peace of mind, it doesn't mean you can neglect the basics. Drain plugs matter, even in a boat that can float when cut in two. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember to always check your plugs before launch. Building a Boston whaler is no slapdash affair. The process begins with a fiberglass mold, into which technicians lay additional fiberglass and resin layers. Then comes the critical step, injecting closed-cell foam between the fiberglass skins. As the foam expands, it bonds tightly, forming a stiff and buoyant core. Early on, Dick Fisher's team had to experiment with foam densities and chemical mixtures, occasionally ending up with lumpy or uneven hulls. Yet they refined it over time, ensuring each boat had that signature rigidity and flotation. Production initially took place in Braintree, Massachusetts, then moved to Rockland as demand soared. Today, manufacturing is based in Edgewater, Florida, where the brand benefits from a modern facility equipped to handle everything from small 13-footers to 40-foot offshore vessels. Throughout each stage of the build, quality control checks ensure the foam disperses evenly and that the hull meets the brand's unsinkable standard. In a world where fiberglass boats can vary wildly in craftsmanship, Boston Whaler's tight tolerances and proven methods set it apart. That commitment to consistency is one reason buyers keep coming back, despite the often premium price tag. You can't talk about boats without talking about engines. Over the decades, Boston Whaler has partnered with a range of outboard manufacturers to power its hulls. In the early days, Johnson and Evinrude two-strokes were common sights on whaler transoms. As four-stroke technology advanced, Yamaha gained favor, particularly in saltwater-heavy markets along the southern coasts. Everything changed dramatically in 1996 when Brunswick Corporation, parent company to Mercury Marine, acquired Boston Whaler. Although you still see whalers rigged with Yamaha or Suzuki, especially on older hulls, new models in showrooms typically come pre-rigged with Mercury outboards. This synergy benefits from shared R&D, streamlined rigging, and a strong service network. Critics argue this corporate alignment limits buyer choice, while supporters counter that Mercury outboards have proven robust, advanced, and perfectly matched two whaler hulls. Either way, engine partnerships reflect how the brand has maneuvered in a competitive market to stay on the cutting edge and keep its legion of fans satisfied. Let's take a quick moment, hit that share button to pass this video along to someone who's always talking about dream boats, or that buddy who thinks whalers are overrated. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, because we've got more deep dives coming, including some eyebrow-raising tales about other legendary marine brands. Boston Whaler's lineup features a range of models designed for diverse boating activities. The Montauk series might be the most recognizable, offering a simple center console design that's ideal for fishing, beach hopping, or casual cruising. The Montauk's practicality, combined with that timeless whaler silhouette, gives it broad appeal, from first-time boaters to hardcore anglers. Stepping up in size, the Outrage series is for those who crave offshore fishing capabilities. Think deeper hulls, more power, and advanced electronics suited to chasing big game far from shore. Want a do-it-all platform? The Dauntless line aims for versatility, serving as a comfortable family boat on Saturday and a serious fishing machine on Sunday. For anyone longing for overnight accommodations, the Conquest models deliver small cabins, making them an option for extended getaways or weekend fishing trips. Although these lines span a broad spectrum of sizes and features, they're all bound by that foam core and the knowledge that if something goes awry, you'll probably stay afloat until help arrives. Travel to almost any coastal region in the US and you'll find a Boston Whaler, from Maine's rocky shores to Florida's tropical flats. Whalers have become a staple of recreational boating. They're especially prevalent in the Northeast, where the brand was born, and where the unpredictable waters of Cape Cod and Long Island Sound foster a demand for rugged, stable hulls. As the company expanded, whalers also made inroads overseas, popping up in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and parts of Asia. Many government agencies and rescue operations rely on Boston Whaler's build quality for tasks ranging from patrol missions to search and rescue. Meanwhile, for families and recreational users, the brand's reputation for reliability makes it an attractive choice, even if the upfront cost is sometimes higher than comparable boats. You might see a weather-beaten whaler from the 1970s motoring right alongside a sparkling new 25-foot Dauntless. The brand's enduring designs give it a timeless presence wherever boaters need a balance of safety, ease of use, and peace of mind. Dick Fisher ultimately sold Boston Whaler to the CML Group in the late 1960s. Ownership hopped around a bit, including a stint under Reebok, before Brunswick Corporation took the helm in the mid-1990s. The Brunswick era has undeniably pushed Boston Whaler to new heights. Better funded R&D, a vast dealer network, and a close connection to Mercury outboards. But longtime fans worry that corporate oversight might dilute the brand's hands-on ethos. Some lament that prices climbed steeply, making a new whaler feel more like a luxury item than the working man's boat it once was. On the flip side, corporate resources have allowed Boston Whaler to explore advanced materials, improved hull designs for smoother rides, and sophisticated features to appeal to modern consumers. The brand's still built around foam, fiberglass, and the promise of staying afloat, but it's also layering on digital controls, joystick steering, and plush amenities. Some see it as progress, others see it as straying from Dick Fisher's original vision of a rugged, no-frills, family-friendly boat. Even so, the numbers tell a story of growth and ongoing popularity, indicating that the corporate era hasn't drained the brand's core identity. One common gripe: why are whalers so expensive? The brand and its advocates point to the foam construction, high-end materials, and consistently strong resale values. Whaler owners often recoup a hefty chunk of their purchase price when they sell, thanks to the boat's reputation. Another recurring point of friction is ride quality. Early whalers featured semi-cathedral hulls that could pound in certain sea conditions if the operator didn't adjust trim or throttle. Newer hulls have better hydrodynamics, but the occasional critic still argues that a deep V from a rival brand might slice through chop more smoothly. Then there's fanaticism. In some circles, whaler ownership feels almost cult-like, with fans declaring that no other boat can measure up. This unwavering loyalty sometimes irritates other boaters, especially those who believe high costs overshadow any alleged advantage. But whether you're on Team Whaler or not, there's no denying the brand's enduring influence and the dedicated community that keeps fueling its legacy. Though best known for its foam sandwich construction, Boston Whaler isn't stuck in the past. Newer models incorporate advanced technology, multifunction touchscreens, sophisticated fish finders, and even joystick docking systems. The brand also experiments with fresh hull shapes to address earlier complaints about pounding in rough water, resulting in smoother rides without sacrificing that hallmark stability. Some wonder if Whaler will embrace electric or hybrid propulsion, and given Brunswick's initiatives elsewhere, it seems plausible. The question is whether battery technology can meet Whaler's performance requirements, especially if you're expecting a boat that can handle offshore or extended cruising. Regardless, the heart of the brand remains the same: closed-cell foam that won't saturate easily, a rigid and lightweight construction, and a build process refined over more than half a century. That continuity is why you can step onto a modern 28-foot Outrage and still detect the ethos of that original 13-foot runabout Dick Fisher crafted in his backyard workshop. Over time, a mountain of stories has formed around Boston Whaler, some verifiable, others more akin to urban legends. Tales of whalers drifting ashore intact after storms or surviving collisions with floating debris that would sink lesser boats abound. Many boaters love to share their near-miss experiences, engine failures far from shore where the unsinkable hull became their lifeline. These anecdotes reinforce the brand's mystique. Even skeptics who question the brand's marketing can't deny that owners often speak of whalers with reverence, weaving narrative threads that blend safety, durability, and nostalgia. As a result, an entire subculture of collectors has emerged, scouring boatyards for older models to restore. They'll meticulously recreate the original gel coat, wood accents, and period-correct outboards, turning these vintage vessels into floating time capsules. Not many boat brands inspire that level of devotion, but Boston Whaler does, illustrating that it's more than just a name on a transom. It's an enduring piece of Americana on the water. So why bother learning all this history? Because Boston Whaler's evolution reflects a broader narrative of American innovation. testing radical ideas against established norms, proving them in dramatic fashion, and building a loyal following along the way. It also shows that success doesn't happen overnight. Dick Fisher's foam concept could have flopped if market timing or execution had faltered, but by pairing engineering with gutsy marketing, enter the saw and that iconic demonstration, he captivated the boating world. We started with a bold claim about a boat that can't sink, and we ended up exploring a tale of ingenuity, marketing genius, and ongoing debates over price and performance. From the moment Dick Fisher first tested foam-filled fiberglass in his backyard, to the sleek, high-tech models rolling out of Edgewater today, Boston Whaler has retained an essential promise. If all else fails, you'll still be afloat. That pledge, proven in dramatic fashion by slicing boats in two and living to tell the tale, catapulted the company from underdog to industry benchmark. Sure, controversies exist. Some bemoan rising costs and corporate influence. Some argue other brands can rival the ride quality. And yes, even whalers need that pesky drain plug in place. But it's hard to argue with a boat that has ingrained itself so deeply in our collective boating consciousness. Whether you love them or love to hate them, Boston Whalers demand respect, both for their storied heritage and for the unwavering commitment to foam-filled safety that remains at their core. It's a legacy built on risk-taking, constant evolution, and plenty of determined owners who swear they'll never go back to anything else. And if you found this video informative, entertaining, or both, don't leave without hitting that subscribe button. Join our community of boaters and gearheads who love talking horsepower, prop pitches, and all things that make a hull fly across the water. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next adventure.